All right, we're back at it again. And this time we're talking about the 9 to 5. I did some other videos this week. This will probably be the last one I post, but talking about the job market, applying for jobs, and then getting a college degree to get the job. And we're coming full circle to when you actually get the job, you get to work the 9 to 5, which is not all that great. Uh, Really mentally taxing. Uh, Anyone that works it knows it just gets really old after a while, and it is exhausting. But let's see. This is a longer one. I will probably watch this whole thing. She has a lot of good points, so it's not her actually. It cuts to somebody else pretty quick. But yeah, let's see what they have to say.
In general is crazy. Being in the office 9 to 5, like
Oh, there are some bullshit comments on that post. Let's talk about it. That creator is giving an honest reaction to her first 9 to 5 and how overwhelming it is to not have a life outside of work. And how when you get home at night, you're too tired to do anything but sleep. It's dark out by the time you're done with work. This is all
Yeah, I mean that's common. You learn that really quick that the job just drains you. Um, yeah, it's really hard, very hard to be motivated when you get home from work. When you're just, especially depending on like if your commute's long, you're really screwed. And yeah, it's just brutal. Having energy outside of, you know, outside of the job, waking up, going in, driving home. If you like, want to go to the gym and stuff, you got to cook. It's just like it's brutal.
all absolutely valid. We are not meant to be consumed by work.
And she's talking about the other creator, how people were blasting her in the comments. But yeah, it's like ridiculous.
Yet there are so many comments on her post saying things like, "Welcome to adulthood, grow up, this is the way things are." No, F that. Attitudes like that are exactly.
The people that are saying that, you will meet these people, and I'm sure you have these individuals who their life is their job. They have no hobbies. Everything that they do, like so career driven, that's like all they focus on. And it's just I've never been like that. I mean, I love my job, but I'm not. That's not my like my job is a means to an end. Is that what the saying? It's a means to an end, not an end to a means. Yeah, it's a means to an end. It pays my bills, guys. But the people leaving these comments, I guarantee you, is your manager super like, this is all I do. I will get paid for 40 hours and sit in the office for 50 and not care, which is crazy.
What keep the capitalism machine churning. So let's set a baseline for this conversation. A 5 day, 9 to 5 work week, which we all know adds up to be way more than 40 hours a week, is garbage. I spent 13 years in the corporate world, and leading up to the panorama, I was waking up at 4 in the morning so that I could get to the gym by 5, so that I could have a slice of life before getting into the office by 7.
So I kind of do that now. I wake up she said 4. I wake up at 4:45 to go in. I'm there by 5:30, and that is so I can get off and hit the gym early. I also say I love my job, and she talks about work flexibility here in a little bit. I love my job because it's flexible. I work 4 10s basically, so I have Fridays off. Like today's Friday, I had off. But the thing about today is I didn't. I still woke up at 5:30 today. I just wake up early in general. So waking up at 4:45, it's a little rough, but I just wake up early. But yeah, you have to. This is what you have to do. And a lot of people do not want to wake up this early.
By the time I left corporate, it consumed all of my energy, my time, my thoughts, and my emotional bandwidth 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I have a client right now who's on the VP track at her company, and she doesn't even want it because she's in that same position where work is consuming her entire life. We are not meant to live that way, and it is not sustainable. Not to mention how absolutely toxic butts and seats culture is, or monitoring how often you're active on Teams or Slack, forcing people to be parked in front of their computers instead of having a.
Yeah, this is why I've had jobs like this where every single minute of what you do is tracked. My job is not like that right now. That's why I'm so like I'm planning on never leaving this company. I will be there for 30 years probably. They do not do this to you. They have a simple philosophy, and that is you have as much flexibility as you need, really, as long as you're getting your work done. That's it. Like if you're getting your work done, no one's really going to bother you. They give you the freedom to kind of just pick up tasks and work them as long as you're completing the tasks and getting work done. That needs to be done. So yeah, it's really, she talks about this a little bit more, but it's really nice having that. A job that monitor you like this is actually, it feels like torture. It actually feels like torture. When I worked, I talked about some of my other videos, worked as an accountant for a long time. I had a job like that where my time was tracked in like, I think 10-minute increments. Is just absolutely terrible. It's kind of tracked like that now, but it's not as specific. Like I have to say what I worked on, but it's not like super detailed. It's like, yeah, I just worked on this for like this hours, you know. But yeah, a lot of people deal with this. It's terrible.
life has the inverse effect on productivity. It tanks creativity and morale. People don't want to be there, they're pissed off, and they're not going to give their full.
It will lead to depression, actually. I mean, that's how I see it. I think I was probably, I mean, I was like never checked for depression, but I was not very thrilled with my life. It was pretty it felt pretty depressing every day. It's pretty rough.
Selves. On the flip side, when people are well taken care of and they have autonomy and flexibility in their schedules, they actually have the opportunity to bring their full selves to work and perform at their personal best.
Yeah, I would do a lot for, like, as long as I'm not like abusing my time, as long as I maintain my work-life balance that they offer me, I will pretty much, I've told my man, I'm like, you can give me, I'll try to do any task. Like, I'm not going to tell you guys no. So there's a massive benefit to giving your employees this freedom.
And what do you think happens to productivity then? It skyrockets. So does the health of a culture and the health of a company. Forced hours is ineffective. This creator crying with overwhelm is not something to look at and say, grow up. That's something to look at and say, everything needs to change. And listen, I'm 36 years old. I am no stranger to being given the label entitled millennial in a professional setting. And I don't care. I will fall on this sword every single time. Because millennials, Gen Z, and future generations are not going to settle for this. And the reality is, since I left corporate, I'm parked in front of my computer less than I ever was in the.
I am in front of my computer a lot. That is the problem. And I do have to be there for 40 hours a week. But the freedom is nice. So it could probably be better, but again, you're sacrificing a lot of times to get what she's talking about is you're going to sacrifice the guaranteed paycheck. Like if you're kind of freelancing and doing like side gigs and etc., like you're not guaranteed money. You got to like be self-motivated to get the money. You can do that. You can go that route, but in terms of getting a 9 to 5 job that gives you freedom, it's pretty nice. It's not perfect, but it's pretty nice.
Corporate world. And wouldn't you know it, I'm far more successful and make a lot more money than I ever did before.
Again, and like I said before, she's self-motivated for sure. You can tell. Not everyone's self-motivated. People need direction. People need the 9 to 5 is a good fit. It's just the managers could be a little bit better. You guys don't need to micromanage every second of everyone's life if they're sitting at work. It's pretty brutal, but not everyone's going to be able to do what she's talking about. She, like I said, she seems like she's focused on, she doesn't need direction. She can do her thing without people like pointing at every little thing that needs to be done.
And that's because I finally rejected butts and seats culture and designed a career for myself where I actually have a life. And when I cut out all that BS, it gave me the space I need to.
Oh yeah, she's just wrapping this up. But yeah, again, just talking about just how bad the 9 to 5 gets. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, let's see what this guy has.
The problem's with it. You may only work 40 hours a week, but you sacrifice way more than that. First of all, half of your waking hours.
Okay, well, let me refresh this. There's something weird going on with this one.
The problem with 9 to 5 jobs isn't the job itself. It's everything that comes with it. You may only work 40 hours a week, but you sacrifice way more than that. First of all, half of your waking hours are either spent preparing to work or commuting to and from work.
Yeah, two things here. Like right now my commute is really good, and I know I can't always, unless I stay at the job forever, the commute will be good. But sometimes your commute's just gonna, if you take a new job, your commute's gonna be what it is. Unless you have flexible living, like you're in an apartment, you can move. But if you have a house, you're kind of screwed on this. So yeah, driving to work sucks. It's terrible. It 100% adds to your day. You don't get paid for it. I hate it. I wish there was a way that a company would somehow comp that, but that's never gonna happen. The other thing too is, for me, I make like if you make your lunches, you know what I'm talking about. Like that's part of your day. If you're doing anything like prepping, like getting all the prep for the coming week, it's just tacked on. So it's like, yeah, work. You have to be there for 40 hours, and then and then the thought of work consumes you for another what, I don't know, 5 to 8 hours, depending on how long your commute is. It's really brutal. And that, even with my flexibility, I still, I have to deal with that too, a lot, So it is rough out there.
When it comes time to enjoy the other 4 hours you have every workday, you're kind of too tired to do anything that you really like to do, so you settle for something else, like sitting on the couch and watching.
Yeah, and the problem with this is then you are stuck there, right? You don't have the means to try to do a side hustle to help break out of it, kind of like what the last woman was talking about. She was able to set up her own thing, but like, did she take a leap of faith? Did she quit the job, then do that with no income? That's huge. A lot of people can't do that. So you got to set this up after hours on work, which people can't really. It's tough to do. You're just too tired to deal with it when you get off. When you do all this crap, you just want to relax. You don't want to consume yourself with any of this stuff. And so yeah, it is. You get stuck in a rut on the 9 to 5.
Netflix. In my opinion, this isn't a good lifestyle. This is just modern day slavery. I don't see how.
You can compare. I guess it's not. Yeah, I guess you can. By definition, it's slavery. But if you compare it to like true slaves, I mean, any slave would take our life in a second. Like they're like, what? They dealt with way worse conditions than they did get paid. So I don't know. Slavery is a little bit of a stretch, but you do get stuck there. It does feel like you are a slave to bills, so to speak. So
how you can describe it any other way, considering everyone is robbed of their time when they're even not actually clocked in and they're only paid pennies for it. For the life of me, I can't understand why people are okay with this. And by okay, I don't mean that people aren't complaining. Yeah, people are complaining about it. What I'm saying is no one's doing more than that. No one's saying, you know what? Screw this. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to do something else.
Yeah, again, a lot of people are not self-motivated. They're going to go quit their job and then they're just going to sit on video games or go to the beach or sleep in. They're not going to wake up. I woke up at 5:30 today to do these. Right. And I got a bunch of stuff I got to go do after. So you got to be self-motivated. That's why people get stuck at these jobs. And, it just turns into, they're getting the paycheck. They're getting the paycheck. They're getting the paycheck. And then it's just really hard to break out of it. So
this isn't 1970 anymore. The cost to start a business is virtually nothing. You don't have to be restricted to these.
That is a good point. It's way easier to start your own business, but again, it's a lot of work.
Stupid systems and these stupid ideas that don't make sense anymore. The problem with 9 to 5 jobs.
All right, let's check out one more.
Oh, I quit my corporate America 9 to 5 job.
He's a little loud.
And here are some of the pros and cons. Disclaimer, I have enough saved up to live comfortably for a bit, but the first pro is...
Another big thing is people are strapped. So that would be one way to do that. That would be one way to break out of the 9 to 5 is you can save up some money, then go do your own thing. That's probably what the first girl did. The first woman did. She probably had some savings that she had some leeway. Maybe I don't know if she's married, she has a spouse to help her. Who knows?
Is that I finally understand the value of time. I literally have time to do anything whenever I want. I can go to the gym at 9 in the morning. I can go to the gym at 11. I can go shopping whenever. And you don't really recognize the beauty until you're out of the whole 40-hour work week.
You recognize the lack of it when you're in that 9 to 5 40-hour work week, because you have to take off time to go to the dentist. You can't go to the supermarket whenever you want. You have to wake up you have to wake up at 4 in the morning to get to the gym, like she was talking about at all. So it's like you just have to go above and beyond to try to make this work, and it is just absolutely draining. It is awful. I personally think we need to go down to like 35-hour, 32-hour at the same pay rate, but that's just never going to happen because companies are just losing so much money. So
I genuinely think that it's fucking insane that we work 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. We get 2 days off during the week and then 12 to 16 days of.
I'll tell you what makes a huge difference. The company I work for, technically, we work 980s, which you have every other Friday off. If you don't know what that means, they are lenient and you can do a 410. So that's what I end up working. But I would not leave this job. I don't know the money that someone would have to pay me to leave and go back to a true 9 to 5. It would have to be like almost a 50% pay raise for me to even consider it. I don't even know if I would do it because it's so miserable. Having a 3-day weekend, having that Friday off is massive. It is so massive. It fixes, even if it's every other Friday, it fixes it because you get to see what he's talking about. Every other Friday, you are able to, you go do whatever you want. You can go to store at 11, go to the gym at 11, you go to the beach, whatever the hell. You have that extra day. It makes, because 2 day, that's the other thing. 2-day weekends, they're off. They don't do anything. 2-day weekend, you can't do anything. It feels like you work Friday, you have Friday night off, then you have Saturday, the next day Sunday, and Sunday you're dreading going back to work. So it's like the 3 days off is just so key. That I would love to see company move to that, but it's kind of hard to do. Not everyone can give you Fridays off. But yeah, having that is just a massive luxury. Like I said, it's huge.
PTO. Second pro is that I'm working to build a sports brand for myself, and I have ample time to put all my energy into that.
Yeah, so self-motivated.
I can put all my time towards researching, creating quality content for you guys. I'm a content creator for a sports betting company. I'm a sports analyst for a company out in Seattle covering Seattle sports. I actually have time to do this versus after hours. The first big con is that there's no consistent income coming in. It's pretty volatile. And I do think at some point I'm going to go back into corporate.
Yeah, so that's one big thing I kind of touched on earlier. I always just I worried about money for like over 50% of my life. Right now I'm pretty financially set with money, so I don't have to worry that much. But all I ever wanted was a consistent paycheck that paid the bills. That's all I ever wanted. And then I got a 9 to 5 and I'm like, wow, this sucks. Like, this is not it. So it's this weird thing where you finally get what you want, but you don't really want it. So there's just that trade-off, right? Like, if you're having to do what he's doing, you're doing the freelance thing, your money's not consistent. You can have a slow week. I've had side hustles, side gigs where I was making a ton of money, then they just died for some reason. So like that money just disappears. So it is a trade-off. So, that's how I look at it. I don't see myself ever really leaving my 9 to 5. I'd have to be making a ton of money on a side hustle and be able to save up. I don't know. It'd have to be like $1 million probably. I'd have to end up with before I quit this place. I would try to do both. I'll always try to do both because, like I said, the job I've got is something that I really value. But yeah, most jobs are not like that. And yeah, is it worth it? A lot of people it is. A lot of people are self-motivated, can handle the ebbs and flows of income instead of having that steady paycheck that you're guaranteed to get as long as you have the job still.
Just to have consistent income coming in so that I'm able to fund my passions, fund my hobbies, my sports hobby, to turn it into a career at some point. Luckily, like I mentioned earlier, though, I have enough saved up to be fine. And the second biggest con is actually having discipline to put due diligence towards your time that you have. Like, that's one thing I struggled with in my first week. I was like, oh shit, I have so much time. I can wake up whenever, I can do whatever I want to whenever. When in reality, you're just wasting days. You're just wasting days of life on this earth. You're wasting time for opportunity to grow. So it really took me until 1 week to realize, hey, use this time off effectively. Actually put yourself in a position to take one step ahead, get 1% better every single day. Now, I'm not one to be in a 9 to 5 for the rest of my career. I think like an entrepreneur. I want to be able to create residual income for myself, passive income for myself. But these are just my thoughts over the last 2 weeks of leaving.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much wrapping up here. But at the end, again, he just touches on like what I'm saying. If you are not waking up motivated, like he said, he's kind of on a vacation mentally. Can't be on a vacation mentally. You have to have a lot of discipline to do this sort of thing. But yeah, for any of you that are trying to get that 9 to 5 and you haven't worked it yet, it's going to be a rude awakening most of the time, unless you're one of these like company shills that are super career focused and you just love sitting in the office all the time. Which, I mean, that is not me. I like my job, but it's a job at the end of the day. Anyways, this went a little bit longer than I expected. If you like what you see, like, subscribe, leave a comment if you disagree. Let me know like what you're seeing. The whole reason why I do these videos is to give a different perspective, because I've been in it. I know tons of you guys are in the same situation dealing with this crap. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time.